Okay, Scott, so you've been in the Star Wars universe as Darth Vader, you were in Avatar, many variations of Star Trek, X-Men universe, and of course, we starred together on the TV show JAG. So my question to you is, why are tropical fish so hard to keep alive?
Really? First thing that comes to my mind is water parameters and the fluctuation of temperature during the day.
From the heart of Hollywood, it's the Patrick Labber Show with Patrick Labberton.
It's the Patrick Labber Show. Patrick Labberton. He's the one you gotta know.
Tonight's episode, Scott Lawrence.
Patrick Labber Show. He's the one you gotta know.
All right, guys, you may know him from his years on the TV show JAG as Commander Sturgis Turner, or his appearance in Avatar, Star Trek, and of course, as the voice of Darth Vader in video games and so many other projects. I know him as the Fish Whisperer. Please welcome Scott Lawrence.
Hello.
How you doing, Scotty?
Hello. Good. Did you remember that I've kept, that was a tropical fish guy?
Of course, that was like my thing. Like after I decided one day we decided to get fish, and you and I started talking, and you were like, you knew.
Oh, you're in my universe now.
We lived close enough to each other where I would go to the tropical fish store, and I was talking to him, and I said, I got a buddy named Scott. And they go, Scott Lawrence? I knew you. It was like you were Norm of the fish store.
I kind of am. Yeah. I haven't had a tank up in
still
a while,
keep
but
fish?
that's unusual. I haven't had a tank up since I moved to my new place here about a year and a half ago. And but normally I have a tank. I've been into saltwater. I worked in pet shops when I was a kid, so I've been into the saltwater game since I was a teenager, literally. And I've always been a hobbyist of some type, and aquarium, reef keeping, and fish keeping was always been a big passion of mine.
Act 1, Beginnings.
Okay, so every story starts at the beginning. I met you when you were already a successful actor. How did you find acting? What was it that brought you into this world?
Oh man, I was in college at USC studying electrical engineering with a minor in photography, which I was very interested in at the time, all growing up actually. And my father worked at USC for 15 years, so I got to go there with tuition remission, which is the best type of remission. Wow. And I did 2 years of electrical engineering, and I realized, oh my God, this ain't for me. And I dropped out of school, and I was hanging around with some friends from school still. I was working a day job, which I quit and realized, oh my God, I can't work a day job. I'm not fit for this 9-to-5 world. I was really, really super lost and sitting on my bed going like, I have no future in this world. I don't know what I want to do. I know what I don't want to do a lot, but not what I want to do.
Wow.
A friend said, sit in an acting class. He was a BA in the theater department at USC. And I was like, acting? I had always been a jock, athlete, math science major guy. I sat in an acting class, Patrick, and I'll tell you this story. There was and I had no idea what I was going to see. 2 actors on stage, and they were doing a scene, male and female. The teacher was up on the side. They did the scene, and we all kind of, and the class was the audience. And they did the scene. I was like, oh, okay. Teacher goes over to one of the, to the female. He whispers something in her ear. He goes over to the male, whispers something in his ear, and goes back, and they said, start the scene again. They started the scene again, and I'll never forget the hush that fell over the room when something was actually alive on stage all of a sudden. And it was like, in one moment, I saw, oh my God, this is craft. I realized immediately what he had told her and what he had told him and how the dynamic changed and how it became an experiential scene on stage. And that's 2 people having an experience and you couldn't not watch. It's like 2 people having an argument in a bar. You can't not look over there. It's happening, and a hush comes. And that moment, literally, I had an epiphany. A little light bulb went off in my head, and I went, "This is everything. This is all it is.
Did you ever find out what his adjustment was? Like what he said to them that changed everything?
I'm sure it was very simple. It was a freshman acting class. He probably said, you be more, upset and you be more mean. Something probably said very simple.
Yeah. Okay.
And suddenly it came alive. And in that moment, I realized this is craft. Because if you're not into acting, I guess, and you don't know the world of you go, oh, that's those guys over there who are creative and they're spontaneous but to see that it was craft. I was always a very analytical math science person. So when I saw it was something that could be studied and built upon, and also that it had an infinite number of possibilities of what could be done, of choices that could be made, I was like, oh, there's a whole world inside this craft, which I thought was just play. And I went, that's me. I got to do this.
But here's the question, though, because obviously we work together. I see that. I get that. I can see Scott, and I understand your relationship to that. But the big problem with our business is the craft part of it has nothing to do with the job part of it. It's like there's no input. Like, no matter how many good inputs you put in on an audition, doesn't mean the output's going to be the job. So how did you deal with that as a young actor? Like understanding, I mean, obviously you've got a voice from God, so it's like, I'm sure that came into play at some point, but how did you deal with the fact that no matter how good you are as an actor, it has nothing to do with whether you get a job or not?
Well, I never started off trying to get a job. I started off just by my excitement. I kind of fell backwards dumbly into making a living at this business. And I just started in the theater program. And then by the time I got out, I just started doing plays. I was always in a play. And I did tons of waiver theater in LA. And I was always just happy to be in a play and doing it for, no money or parking money. And that was all fine with me. I got started in the business, and about 7 years later, I was kind of making a living and still fighting with my agents over, availability because I wanted to be in a play. Took off to New York in '94 with a friend because we were like, aren't we theater actors? Why are we, we're chasing this carrot in LA, and that's all fine and good to make some money, but aren't we theater actors? We went to New York. I spent 5 years there. And did a bunch of wonderful theater there. Did all the TV shows in New York at the time, New York Undercover and New York and Law and Order and all those different shows that are, there was like 4 shows shooting in New York at the time. So I had TV credits coming from LA, so I was like the TV guy. Oh, a TV guy's here from LA. So I started doing guest stars on these shows. It was strange because I did 2 episodes of New York Undercover, of Law and Order in 3 years. And 2 episodes of New York. In LA, you never did 2 episodes of the same show.
No.
Let alone in 2 or 3 years.
I mean, we'll get to it later, but Don Belisario is unique in that he'll hire people over again as different characters. But once you've done a show, it even says it on the breakdowns now. If you've been on this show, you can't audition.
Exactly.
Okay, so moving along. So you're in New York. You come out to you were living here in Los Angeles. I have Baghdad Cafe as kind of like your first big show with Whoopi Goldberg. It was a TV version of the movie. And what's so weird is I've interviewed like 3 people that had a connection to that show along the way. Like they were a part in that, or they had a part here. And I see you worked with Cleavon Little, who I worked with in Blazing Saddles. And I was such a huge Cleavon Little fan because of a show called Temperatures Rising that he was doing when we were doing Blazing Saddles, because I knew him from TV. How was your relationship with, it's just such a personal question. Did you like Cleavon? Was he still a cool guy or what?
Well, first of all, you were in Blazing Saddles?
Yes. Yeah. I worked a month on Blazing Saddles. I had this great scene with Cleavon Little. And it was I've got a picture somewhere in storage of me and Cleavon. Gosh. But it was like, because I didn't know, no one knew Blazing Saddles. We were making the movie. And I knew him from this sitcom. And he was the nicest guy to me. But I don't know. I mean, times change.
He was the nicest guy to me. When I see him on camera and I'm sitting with someone, I go, I kissed that man on the lips. You go, let's Cleavon Little. I kissed that man on the lips. He played my father in the show.
Okay.
Right. He played Whoopi Goldberg's estranged boyfriend who they had a child, a love child, which was me, and they're estranged at this point. He'd come back into her life and make trouble in the show, and he would come and visit his son, and I think we had to kiss. He kissed me one time. And I was like, I've kissed that man on the lips. That's Cleavon Little. No,
was it your first screen kiss?
It was, now that you mention it, my first screen kiss. But he was wonderful. How
do you get along with Whoopi? Because I got to meet Whoopi doing, of all things, Hollywood Squares. But I'm a huge fan. Everyone's a huge fan of Whoopi's. But I also understand that was a really kind of pressured show because they were trying to squeeze a lot into a show that was didn't really fit. It was this movie that they wanted to make a TV sitcom. So I don't know. Was she? Was she nice to work with, or was she just sort of there?
It was a strange time, and I'll give her credit for being. She got huge from the show she did on Broadway.
Yeah.
And then she got, of course, offers for everything, and they were trying to find out what was right for her, and she was doing all these movies. With the basketball coach she played a detective in those shows. I can't remember the name of those shows. And all that stuff was hitting the water like turds. It was just going nowhere. So she moved into television, and so she was ready to get a hit. And they had this, I'm sure she got pitched this fantastic project, which was the producers of All in the Family coming back to do a new show, including Jean the Queen Stapleton.
Right.
Who hadn't done television since All in the Family. So it was the return of Jean Stapleton, which was like, oh my gosh. And Jean, the Queen, oh my gosh, what a woman, what an actress, what a wonderful experience to be on the same set with her and working with her.
Wow.
And I had scenes with her, just one-on-one scenes with her, and she was just lovely. But Whoopi was like in a high stakes position, and she took over. She was number one on the call. She took over. We were getting scripts late. She'd call up and curse out the producers in the writing room and all this kind of stuff. And
that's a hard job being number one. I mean, because you're the one that all the pictures, all the ads, all of the promos have your face and name on it, and Whoopi is the reason. And nobody knows who the writers are unless it's like David Kelly. But yeah. I mean, at that idea, you've got to deal with all the responsibilities.
But unfortunately, she had to have everything sort of be about her. She had to have the tag on every joke. She had to have the entrance on every entrance. And the saddest day I can remember was when I saw Jean throw up her hands and goes, "I'm not going to fight anymore. You just take it."
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Now, I don't know where this comes in, but somewhere around here, you end up getting a job playing Darth Vader in video games and animation. How did that come about? And look, I'm a lifelong Star Wars fan. I'm sure a lot of people are. Were you aware was it important to you, and how did it happen?
As far as I remember, it was just an audition that came through my voiceover agency. And I booked it, and video games were just starting to be a thing, and LucasArts decided they wanted to make video games, and they needed a Darth Vader. And I'm not sure if I was the only guy doing it at the time, but I started doing it, and I was on this video game, and every once in a while I'd get a call and say, "We need a Darth Vader," and it started accumulating, and over the years I've been doing Darth Vader. God, it was actually quite early in my career when I started doing it.
It said 94. I mean, this has been a long time.
Yeah.
You've been doing it a long time.
Was it 94? It was right before I went to
Had you been a fan of Star Wars?
Of course, I was a fan of Star Wars. I was never a Star Wars nerd, but of course I love Star Wars. Star Wars was huge for everybody. And, but I was never a big nerd or anything. And I wasn't like, ooh, I'm this iconic thing now. Of course, it was an honor because I was a huge James Earl Jones fan. It's an honor to be in that universe. But it's
I
gotten
remember
to
on
be
the
a
set,
thing
you
where
always
my kids
used
were
to
like,
joke. You always used to joke that you were James Earl Scale.
James Earl Scale, baby. I love that. That was always, baby. That was always, but it's turned out to be the thing that my kids say, oh, my dad is Darth Vader to this day when they're meeting friends,
Right.
you know, that's the credit. That's the credit I get because they've all sort of played them in their games and seen it, of course, part of the Darth Vader situation. The Star
Well,
Wars
yeah, I
situation.
mean, even I tried to get into the game. I can't game because I'm old, but my son
Yeah,
was
me
really
too.
into the games, and I tried playing one of the games with Cal Kestis, one of the later games, and Darth Vader Immortal is really awesome when you got the goggles and everything. So when you're going in and playing Darth Vader as an actor, as a voiceover actor, I always say you got to do a lot more because that's all you've got. And of course, with Darth Vader, all you've got is there's no facial things and it's animation or it's a video game. So you got to really pour everything into the character. But when you're doing Darth Vader, are you trying more to do James Earl Jones or trying to do a character of Darth Vader?
Interesting question because I've always said I do a pretty decent Darth Vader. I don't do a great James Earl Jones. So
what's the
I
difference
think my
mean to you?
Well, I think the character of Darth Vader, I got a pretty good hold on. And of course, I've got the deep pipes. But the cool story is my first big job, my first real guest star, my first guest star actually was on LA Law, which was, you couldn't get bigger than that back then. And I got a guest star playing a defendant on LA Law. And I remember going to a friend's house and telling my friend so excitedly, I got him. And they were like, no way, you're on LA. It was the thing. It was like the biggest show.
Yeah.
And then my agent calls and she goes, you know who's playing your attorney in this show? And I, no, James Earl Jones.
No way.
Dude, he did a guest star on LA Law and rocked the place. One of the biggest episodes of the season, of course, and all that kind of stuff. And I got to sit next to James Earl Jones at the defendant table for a week and shoot the shit with James Earl Jones and just be with James and watch him work and go through his process and all that stuff. I learned he was a stutterer at that point and learned all this stuff about him. He was my idol before then as an acting idol. And so I got to work with James Earl Jones. That was a wonderful thing. So I was...
What was that? I mean, okay,
And
obviously it's astounding because he's such a huge star and such a big presence. But that's day one, okay? Then when you're sitting there, day two, then it becomes like a real person. But then day three, it becomes, but he's James Earl Jones. So over the course of this time, if you could say one thing that you took away from that experience as an actor, what do you think it was, being next to him and seeing him work?
It was orchestration. How he orchestrated his performance. I watched him, you read the script, you understand it, you get an idea of the scene, and then to watch him go up and perform it was to watch like somebody conducting a musical piece. He would modulate and he would use stillness, and then he would explode. He would use his voice low. He would use his voice loud. And I watched him just orchestrate this beautiful piece of music and watch Susan Day just go. She just went, I can't do a take after that.
I played the piano on the Partridge Family. I can't match that.
And and he just was so lovely and so dynamic and so impressive.
So he played your lawyer, and you would later play a lawyer on JAG. Did you steal anything from him that you directly remember using?
I wish. I don't think I was even in that mindset. But a funny story, we were sitting and chatting during a break on the show, and director came over and said, it sounds like thunder and lightning over here. Who's talking? It's like all I hear over here is everybody can hear off stage is he says it sounds like a thunderstorm over here with you guys talking. It was interesting because I realized at the time my voice is as deep as his, but every voice has different tones in it, and his speaking voice, different resonances and different. It's every voice is a chord. It's not just one note. There are different levels to every voice, and his speaking voice is down here. Mine sort of stays in a medium range until I start talking low if I want, but his voice was always, the way his timbre works is it just comes from this wonderful, rich, syrupy place, and it's just so lovely. So while I can do a good Darth Vader, to come back full circle, to get to his timbre and the way he can use it, he's James Earl Jones.
Well, it's a difference too, because I mean, again, he's got the history of the stage, I think, which is where you're talking about the orchestration. But I did a TV show, I did an animated show, Spider-Man, back in the 90s, and they had a guy playing the Kingpin guy's name was Roscoe Lee Brown, who I also remember from that era of voiceover that was like James Earl Jones, where he's got, like your voice, like this deep, rich, thick, chocolatey voice that I would see him do the similar type of thing where it's like he'd be talking to you and he'd be fine, and then you'd get down and it'd be different.
Yeah.
Did you work with James Earl Jones before or after you got Darth Vader? Did you know that you were Darth Vader?
Yeah, a good deal before.
Okay, so
yeah.
Wow. Okay, so you're doing Darth Vader, which is just like so cool, and you've been doing it for so long. Oh, such a nerd! You have no idea.
I know you are. I love you, nerds. I have so many, becoming part of this Star Trek, and then I meet these people who are just like, oh, you were in this episode of this, or you were in an episode of that.
Yeah.
And when you said this in that episode, you did this, and they did that. I was like, oh my gosh, you guys know me way too. I don't remember any of this stuff, and you guys are all
I was going to say later on, I had the question saying you must be like a god among men at conventions because you're in every franchise, from Avatar to Star Trek to Star Wars to Quantum Leap, everything.
I could make a living on those conventions, and I don't. I've done them 2, I think, at the Star Wars Celebration, and I've gotten invited to do some, and I just went, I've never been one for self-promotion or the business, that's where I sort of, yeah.
So you end up doing an episode of Quantum Leap, which looks to me on the resume like just a straight up guest star. But was that any connective tissue to First Monday, or was Don not aware of you until First Monday?
No, there was no connective tissue to that. It may have been behind the scene that I didn't know. Maybe Deborah, I don't know if you know if it still was Deborah, but that was a Deborah Pratt casting.
Okay.
Who was his wife at the time.
Deborah Pratt was Don's wife at the time.
Then
later, famously, his very ex-wife by the time we were doing JAG.
Right.
And Troy Belisario's, I think, mom is Deborah. And Deborah's also an actor who's was she in Quantum? Was she a part of another Airwolf or something? But yeah, they had this relationship.
There was something she had. I'm not sure if she wrote that character or was part of the creation of the character that I played.
Oh, okay.
But what I understand was that Deborah Pratt loved what you did in the audition, and you got the role. And that was one of my favorite guest stars ever. It was my first real guest stars. And to work with Dean Stockwell and Scott Bakula, Dean Stockwell was just a terrific, so wonderful.
We'll be back after these.
What would you do if your online store converted 36% more shoppers? You could take 36% more vacation.
Another pina colada? Yes, please.
Open a new retail location with 36% more square feet.
Fantastic.
Hire 36% more help.
You're hired and you're hired.
Shopify has the world's best converting checkout, up to 36% better than other e-commerce platforms. What you do with those extra sales is up to you. Switch to Shopify today at shopify.com/listen and get a $1 trial. Shopify.com/listen.
Messages. Have you ever thought about becoming an actor and making your friends and family jealous? Well, have I got a deal for you. Here at Working Actors School, we offer many different classes so you can become a famous actor like me. And we have a delightful selection of classes, including Adult Weekly. It's every Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific. Here you will learn how to be an actor with other adults. How do we do it? How is it possible? Is it a miracle? Yes, it is. It's a miracle called Zoom. We teach everything online so you can become a famous actor and impress your friends and family. So if you want to be a famous actor and make your friends and family jealous, then you need to sign up at Working Actors School. You can get a hold of us at workingactorschool.com. You can sign up for classes at workingactorschool.com. You can make a reservation for the class online at workingactorschool.com. So come check us out. It's workingactorschool.com. Act 2. Success.
So you do Quantum Leap, and then, but it's First Monday, which was Don's Supreme Court show with Joe Mantegna and Rockford and all these great guys. Not Rockford.
Yeah, Charles Durning.
I'm in this. Charles Durning, a young man named Randy Vasquez, and you. And so, what was your situation? How did you get into First Monday? Because First Monday was this show that then kind of, I guess, leads to you being on JAG. But what happened with First Monday?
So, yeah. First Monday was really a fun experience because apparently when I got there, I had never quite been treated so well. They were like, "Oh, Scott Lawrence is here. We loved what you did in the audition." And I got all this wonderful sort of like, "Oh, thank you." And I got there and I did the thing and everybody liked what I did. Interestingly, the pilot script was so much like The Green Mile, me playing the Tom Hanks character in that. It was a prison with the guys, magical black man, storms, breathing bugs, the whole 9 yards. And we shot it for, the whole week or 2 weeks. And then a few weeks, month later or so, we got to do a reshoot. Somebody said in the network it was too much like Green Mile. I'm like, duh. So we reshot the whole thing in a modern facility with a different take on it a little bit. So I did that show twice. I shot First Monday twice.
First and second Monday.
First and second Monday. Yeah.
But, Don has a history of going into the people going, "What about Top Gun meets A Few Good Men? All right, call it JAG."
Oh man, it was so Green Mile, and I kept going home going like, is it me or nobody how are they gonna let this fly? And they did, and it got changed to this. They changed the same to a different scenario type thing, but they did the show that way, and I got a lot of love. I don't know if Don took a liking to me then, or CBS, or the production. And then we wrapped the show. Everything was good. And within a couple months, maybe, I get a call from my agent. "Hey, you want to be on JAG?" And I went, what? First of all, what's JAG?
Right, of course.
And I went, Oh, I know that show. That's the legal show with okay, that show. She says, "Yeah, Don Belisario wants to know if you want to do a regular on JAG."
So they offered it.
And they're talking to me. He said he loved what you did on First Monday, and we want to know if you want to do, there's a role on JAG. They want you to play it as a regular starting this new season. And I went, "Well, who have I got to kill or screw? How does this work?" And I said, "Just network approval, and when CBS likes you, should just fly through."
Oh my God!
I showed up on the set and started working. It was that easy.
I got to ask you this because I'm always curious.
That's a dream scenario for an actor, obviously. You can't write that shit. Come on, somebody calls you want to be a regular on top 10 network show.
I talked to both David and Catherine, and both of them had like so many auditions, and it was like a very complicated process. But the question I got to ask is, okay, so we've been doing JAG for a number of years. They bring you on. What was it like when you walked on the set? Was it nice, or were we a bunch of pricks?
It was so nice. I had no idea you were all such a bunch of pricks.
Once you get to know us, you really learn to hate us.
It took me a while to learn the culture there. Everybody was so wonderful. No, everybody was
What
wonderful.
was it like? Because when do you go back and look at? Because if you don't are familiar with JAG, do you then look at the episodes or try to understand what's going on with the show, or you see a couple and go, okay, I get it, lost show.
Yeah, sure. I took my due diligence and did my research on the show, find out what it was about, how I was going to fit in, and they really wanted it to be a guy who could come in, and they said they described it to me. They want a friendly nemesis for David, where he could. Right. We're going to bring you in as his his strange best friend from the academy. And you guys will go head to head and hard in the courtroom, and then go have a beer in the scene after, and be friends.
Yeah, and if I remember, it was like Sturgis was by the book, while Harm was, freewheeling type of idea, so that you could stay friendly, but still. Yeah. And also, it's not going head to head with David. It helps a lot to have your voice, your countenance, and your height, all of these things, because David's such a presence. Obviously, it's like when you're building a show with a hero at the center, which David is a iconic type of hero, where it's just like, and again, it was a 90s show, but it's like an 80s show. He's like a magnum. He's like, the hero of. And then all the rest of our characters worked around that as supporting. You had the tough part of coming in, being new, and being not a thorn in his side, but like you're saying, an adversary. And how did you find it on an acting level? How hard was it for you to adjust to the pace and the type of show that it was, which even then it was kind of still, the first year you were on, we worked a lot. We worked a lot of hours. How was that for you coming into that?
It was kind of great, actually. It was a dream job for me because I had a nice presence in the show, a nice presence in the script, and my character was, standing, side to side, shoulder to shoulder with the star. Most of my scenes with him, of the lead of the show. And I only worked 2, 3, 4 days an episode. And
Sturgis, for the most part, wasn't a location character, so it's the same stuff inside. You weren't going anywhere at 6:30 in the morning down to Long Beach.
So it was a dream. I was like, and I had just had my first son.
Wow.
When I got on the show. I got on the show in 2000. My son was born in 2000, my first son. And
we had babies together. We would hang out with our babies, and it's the best time to have money because the babies cost a lot of money.
They can't. I was I think I booked the show after I came back from New York in 98, 99, and I got back with an old agent I had been previously with in LA after leaving her, and that new energy. I came back to LA and I was booking. I just couldn't stop booking. Everything I touched turned to a booking. It was really great. And then I remember saying to her, I said, I'm going to end up on a show right now. And the next thing you know, JAG came and stuff like that. And then I had just gotten pregnant. We had just gotten pregnant, my wife. And then it was like the loaf of bread that they say comes with the first child. And it was just, what a blessing to be on a good paying job when you got your first child and all that. Oh, it was the timing of life was really great.
So, okay, you're doing JAG, and you mentioned earlier about Charles talking to you about forgetting your lines. Just before I ask this question, I want everyone to know we're playing lawyers.
I got a story about you on this one.
Oh, okay, good. And we're playing military lawyers. So not only are we talking legalese, we're talking military legalese. So sometimes it's like it wouldn't be the easiest of dialogue. Was this an issue of that for you, or was it just like, because some actors don't deal with the dialogue, and it's more about the emotion, or do you have an issue with dialogue?
I didn't think I had an issue with lines or anything. It was an issue. Those lines, like you said, were legalese, military-ese.
Yeah.
That stuff is not, an emotional path that we usually take that that's easy to hold on to as an actor. And a bit of it, what I think, was culture of the show. Every TV show, every movie has a way they shoot and the way they move through scenes and the way they cut. And when I got to JAG, I was working mostly with David. And in that process, David's doing his thing, and he'll just go, hold on, can we cut there? I want to adjust this or adjust that. I want to get this line right. Then I work with CB, and it would be, can we cut? And then stop. And she'd miss a line, and we all miss lines. She'd drop a line. Everybody go, oh, great, let's pick it back up. And there was a bit of difference when I dropped a line or wanted to go, hey, can we? It was like, this is for them.
Right.
And this is, you don't drop lines and pick up. They drop lines and pick up.
Right.
And I got to learn the hierarchy of what number 1 and 2 on the call sheet can do compared to number 6 or 7 on the call sheet, which is where I was. And that didn't happen fully I didn't have that understanding didn't fully come until most of the way through the season. And I realized, they don't want me. I don't get to, just don't. You better have your shit together.
The secret is they don't want Catherine and David to do that either, but they can't say anything.
But they don't say shit, right?
But to you or I or whoever else, it's like, hey, bone up on that dialogue.
Yeah. And I was working on a scene with you in your office on one day, and you were having a rough day, and you dropped this. You picked it up 2 or 3. Several times, more than you normally do, more than any of them do. You had a little
right.
Nobody said anything. I kind of wanted to go, how come he can? What? And I think I may have gone up on a line in the scene or something like that, and I got a little tense, and then I did a little worse, and I was like, come on, come on. I want you to play the race card or something like that. This is bullshit. Come on. Then later on, I got it. It didn't happen. It wasn't like a thing with me, but it happened twice that I, was doing an episode with Brad May or something like that, and I was trying to catch this scene, and I dropped it a couple of times or something like that, and there was no tension on set. Everybody's, well, you pick it up. When we're working, you keep pushing through, and everybody's positive. You stay positive. Nobody was like, come on. But I remember later on getting a call from Charles Johnson, and saying, we're hearing that you're not maybe up on your studying a bit much. Maybe you can make sure your studying is on point.
Oh, that's what that was about.
But Patrick, nobody, come on, man. But
yeah, it's always, I swear to you, and for those who don't know, it had less to do with color. It had more to do with where you are in the call sheet. It is
exactly.
always.
No, I absolutely.
Basically, the idea is, number 1, you get whatever you want because you're practically in every scene. Number 2, she's the girl and she's got to, we got to take care of her. Number 3 is John Jackson, who is just like, he's in maybe one day. And then number 4, I'm the comic relief and Patrick's a nice guy. But after that, it's like, come on, guys, let's go. And it's not fair, but it's the way it is.
So I got onto a train that was running off, obviously, and you had been on the show forever, and everybody was familiar with everything. So I had to come in, and I think it was sort of like, we got to make sure this guy is on point if he's going to stay on the show. And I felt a little bit like there was a little focus on me. That was so that was a bit of my first introduction.
You had the call from. First
year.
of all, they liked you because you had the call from Charles, not from Don. What was your relationship with Don? How did you and Don get along?
I don't think I ever spoke with Don in those type of situations during I don't think I spoke with Don personally. I never got a phone call from Don. Anytime I ever talked to anyone, it was always through Chaz. And Chaz and I were very cool.
So we had a really good time on JAG. JAG ended really weird. But were you surprised when it ended, or did you see it coming?
No, I think we saw it coming during that year. We kind of saw it coming. How did it end weird? And what way was it weird, did you think? Because I think we ran our course, and it was 10 years in, and
we ran our course. But I had just negotiated another 2-year contract, which doesn't guarantee anything. Really? But I just negotiated this contract, and the idea is that at least we were told that it was we were in year, let's say I think it was the 10th season, and that we were going to end in season 12. That's why they wanted a 2-year extension. And then that last year was sort of like David was having trouble negotiating a deal. And then they decided to do a thing called JAG San Diego, which took Mac to San Diego. They were going to do a younger version of JAG, which is like in their 40s. You know, it's like just, it was a weird show. And then what I remember was we had our last episode, which they kind of wrote as a, you know, where I throw the coin up and it's, you know, what's going to happen.
Did you do the coin toss?
I'm the one that tossed the coin. Yeah, I'm throwing the challenge coin. And we were not picked up, but we weren't canceled, was the last night. And so it's like, you're not packing up your stuff, you're not ending the show. And I remember like a month later, Tina and I were in a Cost Plus World Market buying some rattan potted plants. And I get the call from Don saying, hey, the show's over. And that's how I found out. Such a, you know, Hollywood moment of like, you know, oh, how glamorous.
We'll be back after these messages.
What would you do if your online store converted 36% more shoppers? You could take 36% more vacation.
Another pina colada? Yes, please.
Open a new retail location with 36% more square feet.
Fantastic.
Hire 36% more help.
You're hired and you're hired.
Shopify has the world's best converting checkout, up to 36% better than other e-commerce platforms. What you do with those extra sales is up to you. Switch to Shopify today at shopify.com/listen and get a $1 trial. Shopify.com/listen.
Hey there, I'm Patrick Laberteau, and I've been an actor since I was a little kid, so I know what it's like to be a little kid actor. So I have a class here called Youth Weekly, and that meets every Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific, and it is an awesome class if you are young and want to learn all about acting. We have a great set of kids, and it's taught on Zoom, so you can do it from anywhere. You can do it on your phone, you can do it on your laptop, on an iPad. It's awesome. I've had kids take a class while they were in the car coming back from soccer practice. I swear to you. So if acting is in your blood, come to workingactorschool.com and check out the Youth Weekly class every Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific. I'll see you there. Act 3, present day.
My next question, sir. You were in a little movie called Avatar, which was one time was the world's biggest movie. Now you were in a scene, I think, maybe not even, more than one. But I happen to know that when you're in a movie like that, what does that do to your bank account, man? I mean, that had to be, I'm not looking for numbers, but when you're in a movie that's that big, just the mechanical residuals alone have got to be insane. What was that like when you're a part of something that big, I guess is the better question.
First of all, I like talking about money in Hollywood. Everybody has this sort of, money is this thing that is prayed to way too much. And I think I need to, a man would rather tell you how he makes love to his wife than the amount in his bank account at any given time, It really is way too precious. So I like to talk about money openly. So not as much as you might think. I got paid a decent rate for the job. I don't remember what it was. It was a fantastic job. I was in, the way James Cameron does it is he was in location in New Zealand, and it was going to be 8 or 10 weeks in New Zealand for the live action shooting after they shot doing all the blue people stuff on screens and green screen, all that kind of stuff. And he brings everybody on the call, everybody in the script to location. I worked like 4 days on set. I had 3 scenes. Wow. I was in a part of 2 or 3 scenes. 3 scenes. Had dialogue, big dialogue in one, with one sort of my featured scene. And so I was in New York. I was in New Zealand for 2 months, and we were with a bunch of the smaller characters and other characters, and we just hung out, went to the beach every day. And you get a call and said, "Hey, be ready tomorrow. We're shooting this and such scene tomorrow." And then you shoot that scene and you go back and then you go, "Well, am I finished? We don't know if you're finished. Stick around."
Were you being paid for all the days you were just hanging out in New Zealand?
I don't remember exactly my contract. I'm sure it was a weekly, and they paid me by the week or whatever the rate we had figured. It wasn't a ton of money if I remember. And then we wrapped, and I remember just one day after, not shooting for 3 weeks after I shot most of my stuff. And one day somebody goes, hey, we got a plane ticket in your room tonight and you'll be gone tomorrow. And that was kind of how everybody just, you found out you were leaving when somebody finally said, he probably won't show up anymore. And you tell the rest of your friends on the cast, hey, I got the phone call. I'm out of here like in 7 hours. And you put your ass on a plane and you were back to LA.
You're in the wrong hemisphere.
That's right. Thank you for your service.
So when you're doing the show, obviously it's Jim Cameron. What were you thinking? It wasn't like you were thinking, oh, this will never work, but did you think it would become what it became?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
Because he was he's an innovator. He makes all these, he could care less about how much money he makes on, a director's salary. He's making patents that everybody's using. His cameras, his technology and shit. He's got, I don't know how many patents that will keep him and his legacy going forever financially, obviously. And he had created, new 3D technology where the diopter on the camera came together as you got closer, and you could actually watch in a booth on that movie during shooting. Okay, you don't have to act towards a tennis ball. We're going to show you the dinosaur in the scene, the CGI world mix. Now you can look at the monitor and see Patrick and the Na'vi, or the CGI character he's playing opposite. That had never been done before. He invented that. So it was all this new technology excitement. So we knew we were, and he was one of my favorites. The Abyss was one of my favorite movies from all time. I'm all into that kind of stuff and UFOs and all that kind of stuff. And he was making the kind of movies that I love. So everybody kind of knew this was pretty damn badass. He was just like, nobody's ever seen anything like this. And he was like, very much, you never have seen anything like this. You never will have seen anything like this. We're breaking way new ground here. And I went to the screening in LA once it was all done. And we sat in the Village Theater, 3D glasses. And when the scene came where they went through the jungle scene, there was a palpable gasp in the entire theater after the scene ended. It was so fresh and like immersive in a way that I remember looking to my girlfriend at the time and we just went, wow. Wow. It was really a wow moment. This was like the most beautiful thing you'd ever seen in Pandora. Yeah. So it was like, this is crazy.
So going back to that, so not as much money as we'd think, but like,
well, I made a regular salary. Good, I think it was the biggest first residual I had ever gotten.
Yeah.
And I was like, when you're waiting for that thing, 6 months or 8 months or a year, whatever, to get your first residual from a movie, and you go, oh my God, what could it possibly be? This movie is made, and you're just rubbing, going, am I going to make how much could I possibly make? And my first residual check was $63,000, which was the first.
That's a lot of money for opening an envelope.
Wow. It was. I was like, wow, that's cool. But,
so you do Avatar, you're Darth Vader, and now you're in Star Trek with J.J. Abrams. What are you collecting these movies in your head or does it even register that you're
not
in
so
these
much.
great huge...
Not so much that I was, because especially in Star Trek, I think it's Into Darkness. I think that's the one.
Right, the second one.
Yeah, that was an offer. Nice enough. It was.
Nice.
Yeah. It was just 2 weeks. It was does Scott want to do a part of? We need a crew member on the enemy ship. We're gonna have a bunch of crew members, and a few of them we want to, to kind of throw some lines to these guys. I think I had one little scene where I had a couple of lines that went horribly. I was not good at that movie. J.J. Abrams was not impressed. Not impressed. Yes, so I have a scene where I come to Peter Weller, who's the captain of the enemy ship, and I say, I think it's Khan in the who's landed on our ship. He's beamed himself onto our ship. So I look at Peter Weller and I look at myself, and we're about 5 years apart, and I feel like a senior officer, and I think what they wanted was a little, junior officer, I think Khan is here. Oh, and be scared. And I walked up and I kind of said, hey, I think Khan hit the deck downstairs and this is going to be a problem me and you got to deal with, brother. Cut. And he was like, I think he wanted to be a little more crew-like, and I tried to be enthusiastic crew member number 3, and he kind of went, I think we got it. Moving on. And so I don't think JJ will ever be looking for me in that role, type of role anymore. But it was a fun 2 weeks, and I didn't take it as being sort of a big part of the movie. My scene goes by in one quick little piece.
Well, it's, I'm looking at your resume. You work a lot. You always have. But you did a show called Sugar, which I really enjoyed. You did a show called Paradise, which I really enjoyed. And you did a show called The Lincoln Lawyer, which we just talked about. I really enjoyed. Basically, my question for you, Scott, is who's your agent and how can I sign with them? But let's talk about Lincoln Lawyer, because Lincoln Lawyer I'm sure a lot of people see it. It's the #1 show on Netflix. And this is the latest season where you play the judge. So instead of being a lawyer, you're playing the judge. Now, as an actor, a lot of times when we're playing these lawyers, you've got your big speech, you've got to remember all the dialogue, you've got to remember everything. And I always used to look at the people playing the judges going, man, that's the role to play. You sit all day, you don't do anything, and then they usually do all of your coverage in one shot. So you can ask all your questions in one kind of role, depending on how they're shooting it. How did you enjoy being a judge instead of being a lawyer in that show? I enjoyed
being a judge being very much in that show. And only a couple of times happened where, like on JAG, at the end of the day, we all go, oh, shoot, we got to go. You've got to send home the actors for turnaround, meaning 12 hours before you got to come back on set. And the judge is left to read with the stand-ins and do his whole role after hours with the stand-ins.
Right.
People cleaning up behind him, behind the set, your brushes, sweeping and shit. And that only happened a couple of times, but that production is actually, and every director who came on said the same thing. This place is just amazing to work with from the top down. The producers, the showrunners, and they just really, and I got a lot of love, a lot of respect. And halfway through the season, they were like, we really like what you're doing. And I just saw more and more good stuff coming and how they integrated me into the scenes. And I just kind of really just love that show. I've had such an amazing response. I mean, if you look up Scott Lawrence, Google Scott Lawrence, Lincoln Lawyer, so many threads about, oh, the judge was so wonderful. I mean, it would really wow. I mean, I got a really wonderful response.
We'll be back after these messages. Hey, I'm Patrick Labertone. I play an actor on TV, and I've been doing this for a long, long time. And I know what it's like if you are in a class with people, and sometimes you just want to have that one-on-one connection with the person that you're working with to go over, I don't know, a particular scene, or maybe you have an audition, or maybe you just want the privacy to try stuff that you don't really know is going to work and not have anyone look at you. Well, I have the perfect solution for you. It's called One-on-One with Patrick Labertone. You can book your time at workingactorschool.com, and it's just me and you for an hour going over whatever it is you want to work on, breaking down the script, talking about character, figuring out your intention, the spine of the scene, everything that goes in to making a dynamite performance. So if you're interested in acting and want that one-on-one personal attention, check out One-on-One with Patrick Labertone. You can find all the information you need at workingactorschool.com. Act 4, questions.
But here we are in the questions, right? So the questions are called Tina's Gotta Know, because Tina, my wife, came up with the questions. So Tina wrote these questions for everybody. It's not for you.
Okay.
And the first question is, what is the most Hollywood, it's called That's Showbiz. And what is the most Hollywood moment in your life, Scott Lawrence?
It was, I don't think I've ever been as famous, so to speak, as after I did LA Law. I literally couldn't, every day, it came on Thursday night at 8 o'clock when the hot shows came on back in that day. And that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I couldn't take 5 steps without somebody pointing at me and saying, you're that guy. And I was having lunch with a friend, and in the restaurant happened to be Suzanne Pleshette across the restaurant. And we're eating and just enjoying ourselves. And I hear across the restaurant, "So, honey, did you steal the earrings?" And I look over and she waves and she goes, "Did you steal the earrings?" And I went, "I'll never tell." And I felt we were in a Beverly Hills restaurant, and Suzanne Pleshette calls me out across the restaurant, and everybody looks and goes, "What the hell is going on?" I think I felt more Hollywood in that moment than ever. So that maybe was perhaps my biggest
That's
Hollywood.
Great answer. Absolutely.
Hilarious.
Number 2, that's Showbiz.
Okay.
Part 2. What's the most embarrassing Hollywood moment in your life?
Yeah, first thing comes to mind for me is getting a phone call from the executive producer of JAG saying, "You need to tighten up your game." That was hugely embarrassing for me because I wanted to be as professional. I wanted to bring it, and I thought I was bringing it. And I was actually surprised to really? I thought I was as up on my, as sharp as anybody on the set at least. And I was like, well, maybe I got to be sharper and something a little different, but that was hugely embarrassing for me to get a call and say,
That's fair. Yeah.
So, it's a terrible feeling to get a call from the producer and say, "Tighten up your game,"
Yeah, it's like a parent-teacher conference, and it's like, what did I do wrong?
Yeah.
Number 3, show me the money. What's your biggest missed financial opportunity?
Well, I don't know. It's hard to even call them missed because there's just things you didn't get.
Yeah.
It was like if I had gotten that show, and it seems to me my career has conspired to make sure I don't get too big and famous.
Keeping you humble.
keeps me humble. And so I've missed some big things, some projects that were like, why, if I had gotten that project, it would have been a springboard to a lot. And one of them was a play I was doing in New York at the time where Lloyd Richards was casting this play, cast me in the play, and Raisin in the Sun. We were going to go to Broadway after our first run in New Jersey. And had he not gone sick, passed off the play to another director, we would have gone to Broadway as opposed to going to New Brunswick, New Jersey, and then Washington, D.C., which was regional. We'd have been on Broadway.
Wow.
And being seen there in the lead of a Lloyd Richards play on Broadway was going to be a springboard. And I was like, wow, this could be amazing. He fell sick, passed it off, and the trajectory of the show production went differently. So,
yeah, I mean, obviously for
a
young
production.
actor, that's a huge deal. Yeah.
Yeah, to end up, I was going to Broadway on like the biggest black director in the business at the time had cast me in this show. And I had to audition again because she felt sick for the second director, and she cast me, and we went on to do a wonderful production, one of my greatest experiences. But what a springboard had it been had we gone to Broadway with that production.
Yeah, I think you're right. Number 4, show and tell. As a teenager, what's your favorite poster in your room, and how'd you get it?
I was into basketball. Basketball and athletics was my life. And I don't remember if I had any posters, but I had any. I've never been much for being a fan of like, oh, that's my guy, and I got to get all his shirts and his apparel. And I've never been quite that kind of person who hung posters of idols or had idols and things like that. But if I did, it would have been a sports star. I was very much into Jerry West's perfect jump shot when I was young, and I wanted to emulate the perfect release. So it would have been somebody like that had it been.
Okay, number 5, showdown. What is the best, this is professionally, not kids or anything. What's the best thing you've ever done and the worst thing you've ever done? What are you most proud of and the one that you go, man, I sucked and I really was just horrible?
First thing comes to mind is to be proud of was Quantum Leap. I've always loved that role. I thought the role was wonderful. I thought, the people who have come up to me and told me about how they received it was just such a gift. I played a mentally challenged kid who had been put into an insane asylum.
Oh my God.
He was a kid with mild Down syndrome who had been put into an insane asylum, misdiagnosed and taken away from his family and stuff. So it was a wonderful, complex role, and they really put a lot of focus on it when writing and stuff like that. And it just, don't get me started, it touches my heart to this day. the role itself. And I thought I found a really nice character. And I remember, Dean Stockwell during the shooting, the director giving me notes and asking Dean, what do you think? And Dean was like, let him do his thing. He's on it. And I felt really engaged, and that was just to see it come out and see how much love they gave the character and how it all worked out in the show. I was really always proud of that and love that role. So that was one of my proudest, I think, so early in my career as well.
That's a good pick. That's a really good pick. What's the performance that you look back on and go, man, I just didn't do it?
Oh, I could pick a few. One, obviously that one scener in Star Trek when you have J.J. Abrams, who was one of my, the wonderfulest directors. I've always admired him. To have him kind of go, okay, moving on. After you did your thing, that stung.
Let's go to the other side of it, called No Show. What part did you want but didn't get? And I know all of them. Like, I want all the parts I go up for. But what was the one where you were like, oh, I know I can do this, and I didn't get it?
That's a tough one. Because a lot of my attitude is, if they weren't smart enough to, if they didn't like what I did, I don't want to work with them. I don't want to work with them anyway, because I did great on that. But a lot of, maybe that goes into under the umbrella of, wow, you sucked in that audition. You didn't bring it in that audition, or I didn't.
But no,
bring it in
this
that
is
audition.
a little bit. I appreciate that. This is a little bit different. I'm talking about, like, what part did you really connect with? That, I mean, I can, I didn't get the part of Alex P. Keaton in Family Ties. I read for that. I wanted that. I love that character, and I didn't get it. I know why I didn't get it. I mean, they found somebody better, but I loved it. Is there something that you connected to and then just didn't get, as opposed to,
another thing there was, remember ER? ER?
Right.
It was a huge casting call for that, and I got to the second level, and I went and medical shows were huge then. Medical shows, it was one after another, and this was another one, and we all kind of went, okay, another medical show. We didn't know if it, we didn't know it was going to turn into ER. I was like, oh, they gotta love me for this. I've got a professional stature. I can do this. I'm gonna the doctor with the thing. I was like, I'm in there like this. And Eric LaSalle, unlike anyone else, showed up in full scrubs, the doctor's out, the stethoscope, and we all kind of went.
You're never supposed to do that.
Right. And it wasn't even the test. And he showed up in full regalia, and we kind of went, okay, trying hard. Good luck, brother.
Right.
And ends up booking it. And I went, oh man. I kind of connected with it. I thought I had a good chance on that one, and I wanted to do it. And I remember wanting to do a medical show. I was like, I'd be a good doctor.
Number 7, favorite show. What movie has most influenced you?
I remember seeing Jeff Bridges in Starman.
Oh, that's a great performance.
Oh my gosh. And being able to see his choices and what he made on that character vis-a-vis just because he played an alien in somebody else's body, and all the choices he made there. Yeah. So you could see the choices I could see at the time the choices the actor was made, and I went like, oh, that's fantastic that you get to create from zero. Nobody could tell you what this alien in the guy's body was, and the human's body was going to act like. You had to come up with this, and that's what you did. And it was wonderful on so many levels. And I still say lines from that movie all the time, a little bit jumpy, or I mean, you know harm, Jenny Hayden.
I agree with you on that one.
It was a wonderful performance. That and The Great White Hope, James Earl Jones.
Well, there you go. There's your
oh my God.
Line right there.
To see somebody do what seemed like theater in a movie performance was just, the size of that character. Tell your mama I'm going to have a date. I want to have a date with your mama. Come on. Just the size and just the grandeur of what he brought. I was like, wow.
Did you ever have a conversation when you were sitting there with him about any of his work?
I wish I had. I didn't. I was very.
It's a weird call, though, because at some point, look, he's an actor, you're an actor. You're literally equals, standing, sitting. You have the exact same job. So there's some part of me that when I'm around those people, I try not to fan out. But boy, that would have been tough.
Yeah. I was very cool. I didn't judge. I tried to give him his space. And also, he was working. When he's there, he's working.
What do you mean by that?
He's engaged, and when he's not, when we're on breaks and stuff like that, he's studying. And in his space, keeping himself prepared. Interesting part of that was, I think, I learned then that he has a stutter. He grew up as a stutterer. He would stutter during some takes. He would miss a line, and you'd go, oh my gosh. I think he has to hold his shit together so he doesn't stutter and stay real focused. So I kept kind of hands off of him, and we kind of chatted cordially, of course, but
right.
Yeah.
Okay, number 8. Show me again. What's the movie you rewatch the most? What's your comfort movie? The one that makes you like, I want to sit down and watch a fun movie.
The Abyss. I go to The Abyss.
Cool.
That was just that movie. I love aliens and UFOs and stuff like that, and the tension, and Ed Harris in that movie, I'm like, dude, such commitment. And the scenes he was in, I was like, great performances, exotic setting. The whole thing was just I love the movie. Anytime the movie comes on, I can barely stop watching it. But I'm a movie lover. There's a lot of movies actually like that, but that's the first one that comes to mind. I love The Abyss.
That's a great choice. And Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio is so good with her, and Ed Harris are so good together. And it's just a wonderful, I mean, obviously, did you ever talk to Jim Cameron about it, or was it you didn't bother Jim with anything like that?
I didn't. I had a little connection to that movie, though. I was dating one of the scenic painters who was on that movie while it was shooting. And I was getting reports back from the set about the goings-on. Everybody's sick. The pool won't clear. We've got to shut down for 2 weeks. All the madness that went on like that. So I had a little connection to that movie, too. So I kind of felt like it was in the inside. And then to see this thing came out, and I was like, oh my God, it's brilliant. And it sounded like nothing but hell to shoot. Because water work, as we know, you just kind of go, maybe I'll pass on that. Yeah, let alone, a full shoot of water work, a full movie, of water work. Oy.
Number 9, Show Me Some Love. Hey, Scott, What's your favorite performance of mine?
Of yours?
I know you know all of my oeuvre.
Oh my gosh. It takes me back to that scene I referred to earlier where you dropped a couple of lines and stuff. That it was me and you. We didn't have many one-on-one scenes together, but in this scene I came into your office and we had a thing, and I believe there was do you have a pet in that office with something in a cage? Did you have
I may have for that episode. I think there was something like for the little
I can't remember what, but we had it was an escape from the tension of working with number one on set, who did not want to be in a buddy film.
No.
And Wiz is not a buddy film brother. Yeah. So working with you was so much relief and fun, and we had a good time, and we both dropped lines, and we both, and I think we were laughing about this critter that's in this cage. And just your performance on that show and just being part of being with you was
Scott, thank you so much for coming in and doing this. It was really fun talking with you. It was a great catching up.
It's the Patrick Labber Show. Patrick Labberto. He's the one you gotta know.
Hey everybody, I'm so glad that you're enjoying the podcast and checking it out. It is an audio podcast wherever you get your audio podcast, and it's a video podcast over on YouTube. My socials are all patrick.labberto, and that is on Instagram, on YouTube, on TikTok. I'm everywhere. If you want information on the school, you can go to workingactorsschool.com. We have classes going all the time. It's a lot of fun. I suggest you check it out. Hey, we'll see you next time.
It's the Patrick Labber Show. Patrick Labberto. He's the one you gotta know.